So, Tucas and Pirc. Tucas and Pirc. What could that mean? Tucas and Pirc are acronyms like NASA. And acronyms are ways that we use a set of letters, but we don't want to say it over and over, like National Aeronautics and Space Administration. So we say NASA. And so Tucas stands for Temporary Unwanted Condition Abatement Strategies, or Temporary Unwanted Condition Abatement Solutions. Examples of Tucas are electric cars, nuclear disarmament, anything that has to do with saving the world, habitat for humanity, that's a Tuca. Anything that you can imagine, that's what we're doing now to make the world a better place. And Tucas are good, they're necessary, they are wonderful, and we're going to have to keep doing them or else we're never going to make it. But the reason I made this website, Love Shift, and assembled all these beautiful videos is that I am completely sure in my mind that in the absence of Pirc, we are going to have nothing but trouble. Now, before I tell you what Pirc means, let me suggest an idea to you. If you've ever put together a jigsaw puzzle, I've done it, I'm sure we all have, and sometimes all the pieces aren't there. But you don't know until you are close to the end of putting that puzzle together that some of the pieces are missing. It seems like you put the corners in, then you put the sides on, and then you're working away at it. Maybe it's an older puzzle, and finally it dawns on you that some of the pieces aren't there. Maybe when you're about 25 pieces from being done. Well, that's the point of Tucas and Pirc. Right now, as we move through this moment in time and this critical transition point, this amazing inflection point, it is absolutely essential that we get it right, because the entire future of Earth and of the human enterprise will depend upon the decisions that we make in the next 10 to 20 years. So Pirc stands for Permanent Identity Relationship Culture. Permanent Identity Relationship Culture. And in my opinion, those are the pieces of the puzzle that are missing still as you listen to the global dialogue and as you watch people like Bono and Bill and Melinda Gates and Warren Buffett, and people are contributing all their money and they're working to do Tucas. Gotta have it. Tucas are necessary, but they're not enough. So what does permanent identity relationship culture mean? Permanent is really there to distinguish it from temporary. And so what we mean by permanent is that it's something that's everlasting. It's derived from the nature of the universe itself. It is pre my life. It's essential stuff. Permanent means that it's going to help everyone. Identity has to do with who you are. And right now, in this country, in the United States, I believe we've stalled at nationhood. We really need to take one more step out and become global citizens and become a global community. And so identity, the shift in identity that is required, has to do with extending your sense and your activities from a individual, family, city, state, or nation and move it out to care for and do what will be good for all life. It's an extension in width and it's an extension in time. It's a shift in perspective. So by moving identity to another level, now the fundamental cause of war and the fundamental cause of the disparity among the nations actually goes away. Relationship has to do with the characteristic of our universe, which is that everything is subject and we are one living community. When you get the sense that all is one and that everything matters and that nothing is independent of anything else and that everything has an effect on everything else and that the system is totally co-creative, then you are in relationship. Then your relationships actually change. And you don't imagine hurting the other person because actually there is no other person. You are one single, multiform, emerging energy event. And when you become capable of seeing that and understanding that and functioning from that paradigm, I would say you become as wise as the system that produced you. And what does culture have to do with it? Well, culture is that thing that transcends individuality. Culture is what will be here after we leave. Culture has to do with the beliefs and the values and the ideas that are shared. And most of it, I think, is like an iceberg. It's below the surface. But ultimately, those beliefs and values and that worldview, that shared worldview, is determinative. And if we don't make changes at the levels of identity, relationship, and ultimately culture, then we have a system that oscillates, and then we continually have to repair and repair and repair over and over the problems. Systems that are goal-oriented, that are a quest, that actually are drawn to a higher purpose, they don't oscillate, they resolve. So the shift that's required, the love shift, has to do with individuals becoming capable of seeing and thinking and acting from the perspective of the whole. And it's not easy, honestly, and I'm not saying I've done it completely, but I sense it. And I am sitting in front of this camera right now and building this website because I know that in the absence of a collective shift of this nature, we will oscillate and oscillate and oscillate, and we'll have more wars and more starvation and more problems, and there aren't enough band-aids on the earth to solve all those problems. We need fundamental change. So if you enjoy what you see on this website, then please share the ideas with your friends, have a conversation. Try to spend maybe 15-20 minutes here per day or maybe an hour per week. Most importantly, if you really see the value of what's here, move over to that other little website that you see at the top of our homepage, which is Our Highest Nature, and get involved in helping us write that book. What does our highest nature look like? Do we have one? And if we were to start talking and thinking from that perspective, what might change? So that's enough for right now. I'll make another video probably once a week. I'll be putting them up at various times, but this one was to give you an introduction as to why the site was built. I've looked at every video on this website, and there's not one of them that I've allowed to come in that has any anger. I think we should acknowledge to ourselves that our political leadership might be a little bit behind the curve. Many years ago in Palo Alto, a group called Beyond War came to the conclusion that war had actually become obsolete. And this was back in 1985. And this is 40,000 people in many nations examining the institution of war and deciding that it had become obsolete. I do not hear that idea anywhere in the political landscape today. Obviously, if everything is interconnected and we are brothers and cousins and there's a unmistakable kinship among all life, then it would be impossible to have a war. It doesn't work any longer. It's a mistake. And so as we continue to throw billions of dollars toward the military solution, I think we need to rethink that whole thing. And one last thing I'd like to say is I think the war now has become a bad habit. So enough said. Please enjoy this website. There's places for you to give feedback. and I'll see you again. Thank you.